Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the One Nation of Gamers Summer Circuit. We're about to jump into the grand finals of Open Qualifier North America number 4. I'm Asmo, joined by Hotform. How's the day been for you today, Hotform?
It's been pretty good, Asmo. These games have been, I don't know, do we have any short series? They've all been like pretty close series. So it's
3-1,
been quite a
3-2,
few
3-2.
games. I'm looking forward to seeing our finalists here compete for the spot in the feature tournament, which awards a lot of money. And the ultimate winner of that tournament, of course, gets a full paid trip to PAX, which would be really sweet. So you can bet these guys are hungry for it. Um,
Yeah. It's like tiers of money and tiers of world championship points as you go. So there's a
yeah.
world championship points and a prize pool for the opens, which is $250 and 17 world championship points. And then there's a prize pool and world championship points for the feature. And then there's more money and world championship points for the grand finals at PAX, the land finals at PAX. So each one you win, you increase your chances of getting more and more. So $125 for the open, and then I think it's what $3,000 for the feature, or $1,500 for the feature, and then a $20,000 prize pool for the land final. So it's pretty ridiculous how much you can win.
I think the winner of the feature gets 3,000. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna start it off with Priest for VX14 and Hunter for Vinib, and this is the mid-range Hunter, pure mid-range, I believe.
Okay, so this is probably one of the better matches for Priest. It's not amazing. Like if you were facing a more aggressive hunter or a hybrid hunter, I think you'd be happier because the double high main can get really hard to deal with, or something like high main into Doctor Boom. You might just not have an answer, and then if you take a lot of face damage on kind of any single turn as the priest, it could be that you can't recover your health fast enough.
Yeah, a lot of times you
So
have to have multiple card combos.
yeah, I think as the priest, you're really looking to dominate the board on every turn. And if you find that like that's slipping away from you, it could be pretty tough to get it back. Or not even to get it back, but just get it back before you take damage that's going to overwhelm.
Mhm. Well,
Okay.
getting an early creature on the board like Zombie Chow or Deathlord and being able to keep it alive for a long time to sort of deal with the early curve from the hunter is his start. It's the first step in the right direction.
Yeah. The hunter probably coin shredder. You can. Oh, he's gonna play weapon, so he wants to trade. No, it's okay, I guess. That's a big creature, but the zombie chow would not have been able to kill the shredder, so I feel like that was a very safe play there too. You might want to save the coin for something.
Stampeding Kodo.
Wow, that's a real card.
That is a real card.
That is
Bringing it
crazy.
back. I actually love this card because there's a lot of really annoying less than 2 attack drops in the meta right now. The one that comes to mind the most is Imp Gang Boss,
Yeah.
which being able to respond to an Imp Gang boss with a Stampeding Kodo is like one of the greatest feelings known to mankind.
So, I guess since it's played here, I'll talk about what I think of Stampede and Kodo a little bit. I agree that it's really good to kill something like Imp Gangbos or Acolyte of Pain, especially because these creatures get a bonus when they take damage. Another good 5 drop that does a similar job and feels more well rounded is the Bomb Lobber, which you can use on any creature, and 4 damage is normally enough to kill any 2 or less attack creature. So it's an interesting choice. I think it's very similar to a Bomb Lobber, but it has 5 health instead of 3 health.
Mhm. The
Okay,
Ringleader.
well, that's a good Cabal.
Does he want to use? I guess so, yeah. He's thinking about whether or not he wants to use it and save it for something more important, but I really don't think there's another play in that situation. So he goes for it.
Mm. This Sludge Belcher is really in the way right now.
Yeah, his he can play Haunted Creeper and no. I mean, he can attack in with his second charge of the bow here, and then try and build up a board to maybe protect his high main. But
I feel like maybe the juggle is the best way because taking 3 damage on the high main makes it so easy to kill with like the 2/2.
yeah,
Juggle with creeper and scientist and hope
hmm
that one of them gets the 1 in 4. So he has about a 50-50.
it's such a rough play if he doesn't hit it though. Oh, well, face probably not where he wanted to go. Let's see, another 1 in 4 and doesn't get it.
Well, that sucks. He does still have a lot of stuff on the board. Um, you might have wanted to use the Kodo before now on the the Defias. When he had just the Defias out, the Kodo would have guaranteed it killed that. But now there's a Haunted Creeper. So if you use the Kodo and it kills the Haunted Creeper, that's pretty bad for you.
Putting an extra power onto the board. See where the juggles go first.
Light Bomb.
A nice, clean light bomb clear. Does leave him with a secret, but he has pretty significant card advantage. He hasn't taken much damage so far in the game as well. He's in a pretty good
Yeah,
spot.
that was a really clean Light Bomb there. He has so many cards in his hand, double Holy Fire and a Death Lord. Feels like if you can just remove the board that time, you're pretty much invincible for the next few turns.
Double Holy Fire seems so clunky. It seems like in this deck would get caught with rough hands more times than not because it runs like Stampeding Kodo, which is a situational 5-drop, and Double Holy Fire, which 6-drop is a very cluttered spot. And
I actually like Holy Fire a lot. It gives you like the healing you need, and it might not be so great in this match, but the Shadow Madness, of course, an insane Sylvanas. There's just a lot of 5/5s being played right now, and it's a great 6-mana direct counter to those as a priest where you want the forward momentum.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. It's a really good point. Um, the problem with Shadow Madness here is that there is a trap up, so he's trying to think if there's like a more efficient way to do it, but um, I don't really know if there is.
Yeah, I guess if you Shadow Madness, you're probably playing Death Lord, right? And then in case he could actually kill the Death Lord with something, it could backfire on you pretty hard. Like if he killed the Death
Yeah,
Lord, got a high main. Whereas
yeah.
otherwise, pretty safe.
hmm
Other web spinner's not going to do anything though.
Nope. And so far, I believe we've just seen the 2 freezing traps from Vinib. In the first matchup that we saw, we saw both freezings, and then this matchup we see 1 freezing active and 1 in his hand. So I think it's just the 2 freezing traps that he runs.
Well, you can now do Shadow Madness and Stampeding Kodo. I love seeing that Kodo. That's such a cool tech choice in a priest deck.
Yeah, and he's also going to get himself a web spinner that he can play later on. If he runs Thought Steal, he can Thought Steal double kill command and have an activator for both of them.
The double Shadow Madness is a pretty good play. I like Shadow Madness against Patron Warrior because you can steal the Patron and kind of limit their board, and that's also really good against all of these aggro decks that are running around. It's like a 2-for-1 value guaranteed.
Yeah. It seems like all these individual cards are just awesome in Priest. So when you talk about the individual cards, you're saying, wow, Priest is incredible.
Yeah.
It's just making the cards work in a competitive environment consistently is the part that I think is the struggle.
Priest is incredible until the Patron Warrior kills you in 1 turn.
Yeah, yeah. Very true. But you talk about the cards like Shadow Madness. You can Shadow Madness a Grim Patron and then run it into a worse or like another Grim Patron, um, and
You can do like
then you just
Pyromancer, Shadow Madness, and
yeah
then steal the patron and get more patrons, then kill off the first one. And
yeah, and then still die in one hit the next turn.
yeah. I always feel like priests need a way to just gain 10 maximum health, and that would solve a lot of problems. But priest is like a defensive class that, with all the combo-oriented stuff, has just been getting a little weaker, even though their individual cards are amazing.
Mhm.
Huffer.
Wow, that seems trading the 4 damage from a Huffer into a web spinner. Really playing the long game here. I guess just protecting his freezing trap, making sure that the Stampeding Kodo is going to be what runs into that.
Okay. You could Shadow Madness. There's a lot of good plays here. You can Shadow Madness the Mad Scientist and then get the Scientist frozen, trade the Kodo, and Holy Fire the Tiger. Goes for the Light Bomb though.
And now Vinib has one card remaining, a single card, and it's an Iron Beak Owl, which isn't going to help him much.
So, did the Priest deck lose any games? I think it won its first game, right?
Yeah, it was against Mid-Range Zoo, against Deckies. So, and it actually stomped him. Like, it just didn't even look fair, like a fair game. So, yeah,
Oh yeah, it was the Warlock.
yeah, so this game, sort of similar. There was some opportunities for Vinib, but both light bombs completely cleared his board and stopped his momentum. So now it just seems like VX is just going to run away with this game. So Priest has been really successful for him today.
Yeah. He didn't even have a spectacular opening this game either. He had no cleric, he had no Death Lord, just a bunch of like average plays that ended up. Double light bomb was really good, I guess. Light
Hmm.
bombing after he attacked the high main was pretty crucial, and then Cabal Shadow Priests were good.
Yeah, and he's got just so many ways to deal with everything. It feels like even Doctor Boom here, it could just get like Vol'jin, or he could even like Shadow Madness a Boombot and then steal his Doctor Boom with by attacking into a Sylvanas. Just everything that Vinib could possibly draw in this scenario would just get completely punished by multiple things. He is going to be able to owl the Sylvanas, so that removes that way, but
The hunter has a faint hope here. He sees the board and he says maybe he has no way to deal with my stuff, but unfortunately for him, there are a lot of ways to deal with that stuff.
which way is the most efficient? He can Vol'jin and Shadow Madness. Like Vol'jin and then Shadow Madness the Owl.
Yeah,
And
that's a really good one.
have the Vol'jin at 7 health.
Yeah, I like that a lot actually. The Vol'jin and the owl, because I was looking at the boom bots, and that seems like the obvious thing you want to steal, but then you don't know it's actually going to kill. Whereas the owl would guarantee.
Yeah. I mean, this seems like the same play, just you have to trade in your Stampeding Kodo now.
Well, it's really unusual he traded the boom bot first. Because why would he trade it before using Vol'jin? I
Yeah.
guess he could have like holy fired otherwise or something.
I guess either way he sets up for lethal next turn, but still a little bit peculiar.
Yeah, either way, he's in a pretty dominating position.
He's got to get through 18 health with 1 card per turn.
One lonely kill command.
Let's see if he can do it. I know that kill command wants to go face. Ouch.
Oh, he's going to attack it.
Ouch. Good thing he traded in his bow, too.
VX just going to show that to him to be like, yeah, you played it the best you could, but you still lose anyways.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything that's going to save him here. He's got Holy Fire next turn just to solidify the win.
So we didn't really get to see all of
Hmm.
VX's priest deck, but it seems like he wasn't running the Circle of Healing or the Soul Priests, right? He just had the double Light Bomb combo.
Yeah, in Double Shadow Madness. Well, Vinib is still alive. And Priest can't burst, so he's going to stay alive. At least for one more turn. But he just needs the slime to stick. So I don't think there's any card that he can draw. Yeah. Oh my god!
uh, just like a humorous situation where he's managing to survive with the absolute minimum. He's one damage off lethal.
Wow, that's funny. All right, is there anything that can keep him alive for this turn? I don't think so.
Would probably involve a quick shot. Maybe like quick shot into freezing trap. No, guess he
Yeah.
just gets fully fired.
All right. Well, after what seemed like a very long game, Vinib is going to fall to the priest of VX14, and I'm actually happy to see the priest winning very quickly for multiple reasons. One, because it's good to see priest do well, but two, because we don't have to watch more priest games.
Yeah. We don't have to wait another 20 minutes for the game to be decided. I don't think the Vinib is going to be too beat up about that. He has the Shaman as well, so probably he was expecting that he's going to lose to the Priest at some point in his lineup. He'd rather take the games from the Druid, to be honest.
Yep. Well, VX still has Hunter and Druid to win with, and his Druid is actually the Druid that he has teched in anti-weapon tech. So it's going to be pretty good against the Shaman as well as the Hunter if he matches those up against. VX was the player who put Ooze and Harrison in his Druid deck. So he's actually going to throw out Hunter here. So we're going to see a Hunter versus Hunter mirror matchup.
The ultimate showdown.
The most thrilling of mirror matchups.
They are both playing mid range, though, which at least makes it a bit more interesting. The mid range hunters are going to compete for board early on, whereas the more aggressive hunters normally win out in the mirror match just because hunter doesn't have any way to heal or defend themselves, really.
Yeah. Thing is, mid-range hunter versus mid-range hunter is more susceptible to one player drawing poorly because they're less likely to curb out well. So if one player draws really well early on and curbs out, and the other player doesn't, then it's really hard to come back. Sort of the same as like a druid versus druid matchup, where you have to have specific tools to be able to come back, like Knife Juggler Unleashed to come back on board. And it doesn't look like either player has a terrible curve because Vinib does have both high mains, but he does have things to play at least.
Yeah. Oh, the Animal Companion's really good.
Hmm.
I was going to say he had things to play, but if he was playing the Shredder into a freezing trap, he could be pretty devastated by that. The Leok being able to take the freezing trap, though, and then Shredder comes down means that... Ooh, he actually kills it.
Protecting his trap. I don't mind that because later
No, I
on,
think that's...
Leok could be used as a tool to buff Unleash later on in the game.
Surely these players at this point would have watched the previous matches and know what type of hunter the opponent is using too, so the freezing trap seems really useful in this matchup.
Yeah.
Okay, that one I have to question a little more.
He wants to develop his second bow. Yeah, because he's not weaving in his hero power.
Like, he's losing on health. It might not be as big a deal in a mid-range hunter, but it seems like he could have got a big health advantage there
Yeah.
and letting the Shredder get frozen.
Yeah. The thing is, it looks like he wants to play Eaglehorn Bow, but I might. It's so tough because you play Eaglehorn Bow to set up for High Main next turn, but then you. Okay, it's fine this way because then he can unleash after the turn after he plays Savannah High Main to proc the freezing trap. But he might want to play the unleash now to proc the freezing trap, but that seems a little bit wasteful because he'd just get one hound, it wouldn't get any damage in, and he'd just be hero powering on top of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the weapon's fine. Maybe
Yeah.
just go face with it, or
Hunters trading their weapons into 1/1s. What has
such
the
an
world
unusual
become?
sight for me. I'm not much of a hunter player myself, but to see hunters trading for creatures.
It's like I'm in a foreign country. Oh, double Houndmaster. So this high main is going to
Ooh.
be pretty resilient. Oh, he gets his own.
Oh, so now he had the ultimate Lotheb Hymein Dr. Boom curve here.
Hmm. With a freezing
That
track and a bow active.
So this gets really wild now. He probably unleashes to trigger the trap, and then you Houndmaster. You could Houndmaster the Hymein, or you could even Houndmaster the second Hound that you get just to like take a hit, protect the Hymein.
Yeah.
Um, Probably better off to do it to the Hymein. Either way, I think that BX probably won't want to play Dr. Boom next turn. He'd rather use removal to make sure that his 11 on board is actually hitting face.
Yeah, there actually is a potential for him to just outright kill him, depending on his draw. Um, because he does have a significant amount of damage on the board with a significant amount of burst from hand. It depends where this high main hit goes, and it does go to face. So, um, if he draws into owl, it is 11. Yeah, that would be.
Well, things sped up pretty dramatically there. So he's even got Juggler Unleashed now, too.
But he's at 10 health. So how worried is he that he might just even die next turn? So he
Oh,
can
man.
juggler unleash and get 2 extra juggles from the hyenas from the high main and have 2 mana remaining.
I think isn't the kill command more damage than Juggler? Well, Juggler Unleashed is technically 6 damage, right? So it could be one higher than using the kill command here.
Yeah.
Either way, you'll get to steady shot. Oh, if he once he kills the high main though, then the unleash he gets an extra hound. So that's a
Yeah.
really nice play.
Yeah. I was thinking
The
he was gonna.
rope's burning.
Yeah. Oh no! There's no way that he's gonna get these attacks in. Okay, I guess he did.
Oh,
Oh!
oh.
Yeah, and he even got the bow attack in. So wow, he moved that actually really effectively. So that was pretty good. And now Vinib, he is in a rough spot. He might. I think he's just dead regardless. He has to play Houndmaster so he can Haunted Creeper Houndmaster hero power because he's dead on board.
Yeah, he's dead with a kill command, right? There's no way.
Well, yeah, yeah. There's no way for him to win, but from his perspective, he can. The only way he can not die is to play Haunted Creeper, and Houndmaster.
That was a really good game, though.
Oh yeah,
You could see that when the rope's burning in that situation, a nice tactic that VX used was he would mouse over, he would select a hound and then he moused over the enemy creatures. And you can see which ones are alive before the animation goes off. So that way he was able to make his decision right as the time was running out before he actually knew which ones were hit by the juggles.
yeah. And it'll show up as like a skull if you know that it's going to hit in, and it won't let you attack at all. It's not. But VX14 is actually 1 game away from winning the series and securing his spot in the feature tournament number 2. Which, since we're on qualifier number 4, I think the feature tournament number 2 is actually going to be pretty close. It's uh, 2 weeks from now, I believe. It's July 17th, 18th, and 19th. So not this weekend, but the following weekend after that, I do believe is what those dates are. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, he has to win again with Druid, which I think is his deck that was doing the he was having the most difficulty with. And obviously he proved himself with those other two decks. It's really cool to see the Priest take both games just without a problem there.
Yeah. And so now he's got 3 opportunities to win with Druid. And this is a situation where players like to put themselves in. A lot of times, players nowadays will perceive Druid as their third deck or their quote unquote weakest deck. But putting yourself in a position where you have 3 opportunities gives you 3 chances to draw into a big Innervate or Wild Growth opening. So,
3 chances to draw into Wild Growth. Always a
yeah.
good strategy.
Yeah, and a little update that we just got word of. This normally I think the future tournament would be this weekend since this is right after Qualifier 4, but One Nation of Gamers is running an arena tournament this weekend, so that's why the feature tournament for the summer circuit is being delayed 1 week for that tournament. So One Nation of Gamers putting on the Hearthstone content. That's what I like to see.
VX could have played the Shade there. He chose to Savage Roar. I guess he doesn't want to play the Shade into Double Juggler after what happened earlier.
Yeah, he is taking a beating.
Yeah. He could innervate Hero Power here and clear the board.
Yeah,
This game is not going as well as it could be though, considering he had an innervate in his opening. If he had had, say, a Keeper of the Grove on the first Night Juggler, then he would have been in fantastic position. But now it's like he's taking 12 damage and he's going second.
yeah, and this is such a great position for Vinib to be in because he's got the control over the board, and he just playing a Shade and hero powering up on this turn is such a weak turn, and he's got Loatheb plus Burn in his hand, so he'll secure his board next turn, and then be able to push through the turn after that. So really looking like this is going to be a quick win for Vinib.
I think you probably should play the Ooze here. You know that you're way behind. Like, you have to hope that he's missing something important to you, and if he has a weapon in his hand, well, that sucks, but I'm just gonna save it.
Decides to gain 1 health and do 1 face damage instead.
Loatheb comes down. It's not even really any play. Could always get a Doomsayer out of the Shredder, maybe. Nope.
6, 12, 14. Alright, so he's lucky that there wasn't a 3 attack or more drop here coming from the Armor Smiths, because that would have been the game. But Houndmaster's pretty good. He can Haunted Creeper and Houndmaster this turn. Depends on how much he values weaving in hero power each turn as the game starts to come to a close, but I still think that's a really strong play to make.
Yeah, I think pretty much all his options look good here. If he steady shots, then the Loatheb still doesn't necessarily die to anything. He could get a... No, he can't get a draw because he'll draw a card.
Does Sludge Belcher keep him alive?
Sludge Belcher... No, he still dies. He takes
Yeah.
damage from Hound plus Armor Smith.
Yeah, he has. Vinib has 8 damage just from hand alone, double quick shot and hero power. So all he needs to do is have 2 damage connect from the board, which is pretty easy.
This prevents exactly as much oh no, it prevents 2 less damage than the Sludge Belcher would have. Sludge Belcher is vulnerable to other counters. It basically kills some creatures too, so I guess you could hope that if he really doesn't have damage, you draw into like a swipe and could maybe clear the board out.
Yeah, yeah. But that is going to be it. Even if he did manage to clear the board, he would have been met with a Dr. Boom. So Vinib does manage to find a win with the mid-range hunter and put himself on the board, at least in this matchup. So VX14 now has only 2 opportunities remaining to find a win with the Druid. But that was going to be the toughest one for him, I think. The mid-range hunter just does so well. So Vinib has Mech Shaman, and was it the Malag? He was the player that was bringing Malagos Warlock. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Mech Shaman and Malagos Warlock remaining. How did these classes match up against Druid?
The Mech Shaman's really strong against Druid. The Malagos Warlock, I thought it was good, but it lost the last time I played against Druid, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. The Mech Shaman normally gets a very favorable matchup because it's like only Wrath can really stop the opening creatures. And if you don't get a Wrath or an innervated 5-drop, the early creatures from the Shaman just take you down.
Well, we'll definitely see here. Looks like he keeps swipe because I guess, like you said, trying to stop the damage early on can be really hard without direct damage from hand. So this is a pretty scary opening hand from Vinib.
Yeah, this is not going to be pretty. He gets to play the Whirling, and there's going to be no answer to that right now.
He can coin Savage Roar, is what he can do.
Oh yeah, actually that's pretty good.
Oh, he's deciding. Okay. Yeah, I think going with the Savage Roar is smart here. You really don't want to allow him a full turn of Whirling Zap-O-Matic action. That's a sick draw.
The Shaman draws keep coming. Yeah, the Savage Roar was really nice there because obviously the Shade would just die in a trade, and you would take the damage from that too.
Yeah, the thing is now he just continues to, he just doesn't curve out very well, and
Yeah, he does. He
well,
curves out well.
yeah, he curves out well, but it puts a sort of a wrench in his curve where this turn, like say he had like a Wrath that turn, if he had been able to play like a Wrath last turn and then coin out a
Yeah.
Pilot Shredder this turn to match up against like one of these creatures, then it would have been good. So right now he's basically taking 6 damage while just developing a 3/3 that activates over the course of 2 turns. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right that like he is curving out well, but he's just not putting up a fight in this battle. Like the Shade
yeah,
has to be a 4/4 before it's useful, and he could be dead at that turn already.
yeah. Like if Vinib had a dead draw there, it would have been great. Like if all he did was develop a Power Mace and like swing face, he would have been staring at a 1/2 Cogmaster on the board, which would have been a lot less threatening. Now
I
Vinib
think
is
Spider Tank is all right. He goes with the Power Mace. So he wants to set up he wants faster damage, and he wants to set up the Power Mace to actually buff the mech.
yeah. Yeah, he can also guarantee that it buffs a mech, whereas if this turn he had played swipe on a spider tank, he could have traded the shade into another spider tank and be mechless.
That's true. Yeah, actually, this works out really well for him now because he can kill the Shade with the weapon setup. He gets a 5/6, and you're right that he would have had no mech otherwise, and he would have
Yeah.
just had 2 Cog Masters with 1 damage.
And he could put him at 9. It's pretty absurd. So VX now with only 5 mana, if he can't, well, Wrath allows him to get through at least some damage, but if he plays Wrath, all he's doing is playing a Shade.
Well, okay, he's alive with 1 health right now.
Yeah. Oh man.
Man.
Fire Elemental into Dr. Boom into Rag. I don't see BX winning this one. And he's got to do it all from 1 health.
So, Sludge Belcher this turn, maybe? I know. Oh man, if he had had the Harrison on... Actually, no, because he needed to swipe that turn and kill the Spider Tank. Yeah, there's really no opportunity there.
It's all going to come down to the last match. It's going to be VX14 on the Druid that's lost 2 games in a row from a 2-0 start versus Vinib's Malagos Warlock.
Oh, this is that point when like the sand is slipping through your fingers. You're trying to hold on to it, saying, "No, these are my wins. These are my games."
It's so rough too. The emotion swing that you have, being up 2-0 and thinking, "Oh yeah, I got 3 chances. I'm
Yeah.
good," and then all of a sudden it's tied 2-2 and it's do or die. how worried and stressed you get when you find yourself in this situation. And this anti-weapon tech that VX14 has put into his deck is going to be useless in this matchup.
Although on the other side of things, Vinib has got to be pretty stressed as well. He has the elation of having won those games, but he still knows that he's do or die. Each of these games, he has to make it absolutely perfect. That last game is probably a bit less stressful because, not a lot of huge decisions, but this one takes some thinking power, and he's going to have to play it perfect.
Yeah. Well, that's a pretty sick start to get things rolling. Being able to coin out Wild Growth and have Shade to be able to curve out on turn 2. Pretty nice. It's going to put it at a Hellfire range.
They both have a decent curve. Last time the Malagos Warlock lost to Druid, it had no 3 or 4 drop to play.
Oh, it's not going to put it at a Hellfire range.
Second.
See 1 second.
So do you Hellfire? This is your only chance to kill the Shade.
Yeah.
Gang boss survives. Trades on the guy that comes out.
Yeah, I think you have to here. You play Twilight, but Twilight Drake is really strong, but I don't know if you're ever going to find another opportunity to deal with the Shade as cleanly. Because the Shade this turn is going to trade into your Imp Gang boss. But then you're playing Twilight Drake off curve. If you don't play it this turn, it might be hard for you to play it later on in the game. You don't need the Twilight Drake for Corruptor because you already have an Azure Drake. Yeah, I like Hellfire. Oh no!
Not what he wanted to see.
Disaster. He can still clean it up.
These players are whipping through these turns. Like, man, the decisions for the Druid, they were pretty immense that turn. He just goes for it, plays on curve the best he can.
It could be a little bit of that mentality thing, the psychological aspect where he was up 2-0 and now feels like he's in a position where he should have won already. He might be playing fast because he could be tilting a little bit from losing those 2 matches in a row.
I think that was a good play. Like, he gets the Shade down after he just saw Hellfire, so he knew, I want to get that down and growing right away after the other Shade died. But I still would have thought about that probably for quite a while, because that's your big decision moment when you have the innervate.
Yeah. He does curve out pretty nicely. He's got Sylvanas into Dr. Boom the next turn, so he can start piling on some of the damage. And this makes a really tough decision for Vinib next turn because he's got to trade into one of these smaller creatures and ignore the Sylvanas for a turn, which could come back to bite him because whatever he develops this turn might get punished. Or he could just trade in and leave the 2 smaller creatures on the board still and
Yeah, I think that
be
was
in the same exact spot. Yeah.
Okay, so the Warlock deck runs double BGH, and that's because it's very difficult to deal with these large creatures with your spells otherwise. But when you don't have a BGH, suddenly this 7/7 is like, ugh, I gotta kill that, really?
Well, he does have a few draws to get to it. But it's still kind of risky if he taps and uses Mortal Coil to try to get to BGH, because then that ruins, or that makes his other options to clear off the Dr. Boom inefficient. But I think you go for it. You Mortal Coil, tap. If he doesn't draw into BGH, he can trade and Dark Bomb to the Dr. Boom.
You got to be a little scared of Savage Roar here, too. Like, if you did, say, Azure Drake, trade and Mortal Coil the Dr. Boom, then he still has 3 creatures, which could be a lot of damage.
Yeah. There's also the chance that if you don't attack with the Corruptor first, and you Mortal Coil or Dark Bomb, and it kills your Corruptor, and you don't draw into BGH, then you're screwed.
This is, of course, do or die time for the players, you guys. 2-2 on the final series to see who advances to the feature tournament. So these turns are really important for them.
All right. Okay. Well, hedges his bets and says, you know what? I'm not going to even take my chances to try and draw into something. I'm just going to go ahead and take the safe route, clear it off without my BGH.
So
Double
much
swipe.
RNG to consider with the boom bots here. There is a lot of skill that goes into maximizing those boom bots to make sure that they're hitting the best things for your trades. Looks like he's just saving them.
Yeah. Hoping to get more value to these on bigger creatures.
So he used the top deck swipe. From Vinib's perspective, he's seen those two cards being held onto the entire time, and it's approaching combo turn, which is going to make you pretty nervous.
Yeah.
Did he play this? No, that was the other game, right? That he played Savage Roar. So
Yeah. He hasn't seen or played any pieces of combo so far this game, so that's also got to play into Vinib's mind. BGH was the next card. Oh no!
uh,
And again, that still photo on Vinib is his exact reaction when he Mortal Coils into BGH as the next card.
okay, this is a pretty fair position though. 23 health. You don't die to combo.
Yeah. One! No, no!
Lotheb could get BGH with an abusive draw. He can actually Azure Drake into the abusive, and Vinib was playing double abusive Sergeant in his deck.
Yep, that's very true. He was.
Oof.
There was two BGHs in his next three cards after Dr. Boom was played. Well, there's one piece of the combo. It's not enough to kill him yet. But he can get him close to putting him in range here.
So, Druid of the Claw in Taunt looks pretty strong, but the Defender of Argus is going to be... Well, I guess it doesn't matter. They're still 5 attack then.
Mm-hmm. It'll live. It just won't be able. It won't be able to kill it, but it'll still live. Like whatever creature he decides to use Defender of Argus on the next turn.
You've seen both swipes played.
Wow. That's actually a pretty bold call to make.
Yeah, I like the charge here.
Because what if that boombot had gone face, or had hit the Twilight Drake for like 2 damage, and it was like a 4/3? What do you trade into then with your Lothab?
Yeah, I guess you just go face and hope for the
Yeah,
best.
I don't know. That seemed like weird, but it worked out for him in the end. But I was curious to what his plans were going to be. Maybe he was thinking of using like Force of Nature if it had gone wrong. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
Interesting
he
play.
could have used the Force, you're right. Especially if it hit Twilight Drake for 3, and then he could have killed both creatures with the Force.
Yeah, and preserved his Lothab with 5 health and still had Druid to Claw for the next turn. Yeah, maybe that was it. Just seeing the result of the Boombot before he made the play. Turns out
I
it
think
works really well.
double BGH Argus is actually a pretty good play here.
Wow. Yeah, it is. You're still a little nervous because then you'd still die to combo. But if you...
You get to keep the Argus on the board.
yeah, that's true. He's really tempted to
Burning.
just Soulfire here, though.
Oh, he's going for it.
Okay. So, Savage Roar is a win. Ancient of Lore is still pretty good, though. And Vinim's actually not in a very good spot because his card quality is not good. Just having 2 cards, one of them being Soulfire in your hand, I guess it allows you to empty your hand before you play Soulfire, but he doesn't have win conditions. Every single turn, he's got to like play around combo the best he can while still trying to draw into his own conditions to win. Where VX14 here is just in a position where he's like on draws to win.
Yeah, that was a pretty good play, I guess. And the Hero Powers, he does 9. Sets him up for maybe lethal, not actually lethal.
Yeah,
The
well, it says him.
Defender.
Yeah,
Ooh, okay. That works.
Hmm. Now
Oh,
he has to give up a card here just to be able to survive the next turn, or use Azure Drake into an anti-kill bot. Would also keep him alive.
it's looking pretty grim. Oh, man.
Wow.
Okay, I spoke too soon.
And this, even though he has the spell power, killing the more attack creatures probably better in this situation.
Oh, these decisions. Just
So
got one card.
if he plays Twilight Drake, Savage Roar does not kill him. Just Savage Roar alone, because it'd be exactly 9 damage, with the Savage Roar plus Hero Power with the Druid of the Claw on the board. But Force of Nature would kill him, or like an extra damage, like Savage Roar plus a Keeper of the Grove, would kill him.
I think I might have liked to seen him life tap there once there was nothing on the board. 8 damage would require 2 cards of damage.
Yeah.
Throwing away the Emperor was way worse than Twilight Drake, of course, because Twilight Drake will have no health.
Well, there's Healbot. A 2 health Twilight Drake. If he plays it.
Uh,
But I mean, it's still building up a board, and he's putting himself out of a lot of the range of a lot of things.
it's just gambling now. It's gambling on when he's going to draw a combo, when he's going to have taunts, and
Mhm.
looks pretty grim because the Druid's still at 21. If the Druid was like 12 health at this point, I think then it would be a much closer game. But with the Druid so high on health, you need to get board control guaranteed for a couple of turns to make it work.
And he realizes that um, he needs to just build up the biggest board as possible. All right, second Ancient of Lore coming down. See what he's going to draw into. But even just his board right now can match up, and drawing into Wrath is a pretty big deal because it allows him to deal with an extra creature to solidify the board here.
Well, might be all she wrote. Oh,
He's alive!
you gotta tap. I mean, yeah, you gotta tap. Huh. Okay. So you go face, you Hellfire, you Implosion.
Mhm.
Druid's at 9. You're out of Oh, you're still in combo range, I guess, but there's no way to avoid that.
Yeah, at least you've seen him use one Force of Nature, so you can sort of take that out of the equation. But it's still scary.
Or the Druid's at 10.
Those are 3, reasonable. And now it's starting to get a little bit nerve-wracking for VX14 as well, because he doesn't have a board, and now he's starting to get pretty low. But he still has a board, and it looks like Vinib's going to have to keep tapping each turn, and I don't think he's going to be able to deal with Paladin Shredder plus Emperor Thorsan, no matter what he draws into. He needs, like,
Yeah, he
Hellfire.
would need 8 damage.
Yeah. I can't even tap and play the creature, so he can play Malagos and hope that VX14 doesn't have 2 damage,
Yeah.
and that he
I'd
draws
probably
into
play
Soulfire or Dark Bomb next turn.
Malagos because even if you life tap, you can only draw 1 card, and what 1 card is going to save you from this situation?
Yeah.
I think it really came down to the turn with Lotheb going unchecked. If Lotheb had been able to be answered by the BGH, it could have been way different. But
Yeah, we actually haven't seen a single Abusive Sergeant so far. And we know that he runs 2 in the deck, so we saw both BGHs run a runner after he used the Dark Bomb and his creatures to clear off a Doctor Boom, which was rough. But you can see VX14 nodding his head because he knows that he's going to the feature tournament.
Nice job.
Very well played. It was a little bit nerve-wracking at the end for him. Up 2-0 in the final match. Loses 2 games in a row with the Druid, but he does manage to piece it together. And VX14 will go home with $125, 10 World Championship points, 10 GEICO points, and a guaranteed spot in feature tournament number 2. I think he played really well today.
Yeah, definitely. Those Druid games were nerve-wracking. I'm not sure if we'll always be seeing him bringing Druid again, but the rest of his lineup was just flawless today, so looked really sweet.
Yeah, and of course, he'll be joined by players from the EU qualifiers 3 and 4, as well as the NA qualifier number 3, and some of the invite players, and the 2 players from or 1 player from each region with the most GEICO points. So those will be the 8 players that will be as far as feature tournament number 2. And VX also will get 2 slots in the feature tournament since he won 2 of the opens. He won the open tournament number 3 as well as the open tournament number 4. So basically, he'll just get seeded into the feature tournament twice. So like he'll get a chance from both groups to make it in, and like if he wins the first group, and then the next group will just get buys. I think is how it works. So he just gets 2 opportunities to do it, and on top of that, it means he has a buttload of GEICO points. So even if he doesn't make it to the feature tournament, he still has a good shot to go to PAX because of how many GEICO points he's racked up.
Yeah, that's really cool that you can actually qualify for both if you do well enough, and the fact that he has performed that well both times. I mean, that shows a lot of player skill to be able to get through twice through the qualifiers.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, we do still have more qualifiers coming up. We've only been through half of the total open, so we've been through 4 for NA and 4 for EU. So we still have 8 left, 4 from each region. So if you want to sign up, the next NA qualifier is um, on the 12th, I believe, and the next EU qualifier is on either the 16th or the 20th. You can head over to liquidhearth.com, and up in the top right in upcoming events, you'll see the One Nation of Gamers bracket right up there. So it'll bring you to a page, and you can click sign up now and sign up to play. You don't have to specifically be from the region to play. You just have to have cards on an account. So like Powder today, he's a European player, but he played in the NA tournament just because he had cards on NA. The one thing to note, though, is that your GEICO points are separate. So if you win a feature tournament in EU, your GEICO points are separate from if you win a feature tournament in on NA. But make sure you guys head over to Liquid Hearth, and if you want to play, sign up. You'll probably play off against Hotform at some point because he makes it pretty far in some of these tournaments.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good players that you can play against. I mean, many people want to achieve this. So if you're ever like a Hearthstone player that thinks like, I've never played in a tournament, this is a great way to do it. You get to play against the big guys and you compete for stuff that people really want in the Hearthstone world. It looks like the next qualifier for EU is on July 20th, and for North America, it's July 22nd. So you can set your calendar.
Yeah, I was a little off. The dates on our little note sheet changed, so I was a little bit
Yeah.
confused. But yeah, those are the dates. So I know I'm going to try and play in those. I know Hotform really wants to go to PAX, so he's going to be trying to play in those as well. So make sure you do that. Also, head over to geico.onog.gg. You can get more information about upcoming tournaments and about GEICO points and how the system works. You can also get a quote from GEICO, which, as Hotform talked about earlier, helps GEICO get a realistic look at how many people like the fact that more companies are getting into esports. So make sure you do that. You can also enter in to win an official TSM PC. So if you like TSM and GEICO and One Nation of Gamers, make sure you head over there. But Hotform, do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to give? Any shout outs that you'd like to give before we close it out for the day?
Yeah, so I'll shout out myself because I will be streaming after this is over. So I'm going to be playing some Mind Blast Velen Priest on my stream today. If you guys want to watch that, I think that'll be a lot of fun. And Azumo, thank you very much for casting with me. You're a great caster, and it was such a pleasure. So it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was really fun. Thank you again. I'll definitely be watching you play the Velen Mind Blast Priest, so I'll look forward to see you there. But once again, guys, congratulations to VX14. Make sure you guys tune in to the feature tournament, which will happen July 17th, 18th, and 19th. But for myself, from Hotform, from GEICO, ONOG, and Team Liquid, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.